My wife's parents knew about her affairs, so I spent years gathering evidence, took everything, and divorced her. Hello, Reddit talkative here. Alright, so, listen to this. I was married to my wife for 10 years. 10 years of what I thought was a happy, solid marriage. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but who doesn't, right? I loved her, I trusted her, and I thought we were building a life together. Turns out, I was living in a fantasy while she was starring in her own twisted soap opera. One day, I got a message from a friend. He said, "Hey, I saw your wife at dinner with some guy. Thought you should know." At first, I brushed it off. Maybe it was a coworker or a friend I didn't know about. I wasn't the jealous type. But something about it stuck in my mind. You know when your gut starts screaming at you? Yeah, that. So I started paying closer attention. And man, did the signs start to show up like neon lights. Secretive texts, late-night work meetings, random errands that took hours. I even found a second phone she thought she had hidden well. It didn't take a genius to figure out what was going on. Here's where it gets worse. I found out her parents knew. Not just recently. No, they'd known for years. They covered for her, lied to me, and even helped her sneak around. Her parents. The very people who had toasted our marriage at our wedding. I was furious, but instead of exploding, I decided to play the long game. I wanted to hit her where it would hurt the most. Not physically, obviously, but emotionally, financially, and socially. She needed to feel what betrayal feels like. I started documenting everything. Every text, every suspicious transaction, every time she lied about where she was. I even installed a camera in my own home, completely legal since it was my property. Over the years, I built a mountain of evidence. And trust me, it was damning. Meanwhile, I played the role of the loving, clueless husband. Birthdays, big celebrations, vacations, paid for by me, family gatherings. I smiled and pretended nothing was wrong. Her parents? Oh, they loved me because I was the perfect son-in-law. I let them think that while I gathered more dirt, when I finally had enough to bury her in court, I made my move. I got the best lawyer in town, someone who specialized in cases like mine. We went over every detail, every piece of evidence, and made a plan that would leave her with nothing. The day I filed for divorce, I served her the papers at her parents' house. They were all sitting in the living room, probably planning their next scheme, when I walked in with my lawyer. The look on their faces when they realized what was happening? Priceless. My wife tried to play the victim, of course, crying and screaming, saying I was overreacting. But when my lawyer started listing everything we had, photos, texts, bank statements, she shut up real quick. It gets better. Thanks to the prenup she insisted we didn't need, because we'd never split, I kept everything. The house, mine. The cars, mine. Savings, investments, even the dog, everything stayed with me. All she got was a suitcase of her clothes and a couple of cheap souvenirs from our vacations. Oh, and her reputation? Destroyed. Everyone in our circle knew what she'd done, thanks to her inability to keep things discreet. As for her parents, I made sure they knew exactly what kind of daughter they'd raised, and when they tried to guilt me, saying I should have worked it out for the sake of the family, I just laughed. Family? You mean the family you helped her destroy? Yeah, no thanks. Now I'm free. Free from the lies, the betrayal, and the toxic people who thought they could play me for a fool. I'm living my best life, and you know what? I'm finally happy. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that karma might take her time, but when she shows up, she doesn't miss.